Pleasure seekers, it's Jackie Lane here from Your Peachy Life, and I'm doing this video to help you access cash because so often money is one of our desires, and so often it's the one thing that we are not allowing to flow in our lives. It's the one thing that we are closed to, it's the one thing we have blocks to, and it's also the one thing that we really try to control. And I just want to open you up to receiving cash and to not be attached to how that cash is going to flow to you, because you need to recognize that you are the source of your money. You are the source of cash. You are part of the universe. You're part of source, and source, you are the source of money. And I know this through experience, and I'm going to share with you an experience that I went through, because I believe it may help you to open to cash and recognize that you're the source of this. So often we don't want to receive money through credit cards, loans, borrowing. We don't want to go into more debt by using credit cards and loans and things like that. We really try to control how money shows up for us. We really try to control how we're going to receive money. And by doing that, you're actually blocking it from flowing in your life and blocking yourself from receiving it and allowing it in. And it really doesn't have to be so difficult. When there is an opportunity for a credit card or a loan or something like that, you really need to recognize it as an opportunity, not as something to fear, because abundance does not fear debt. True abundance does not fear debt. And I really dislike the word debt because it's just there's so much stigma attached to it. There's so much shame and guilt attached to the word debt. There's so much bad vibes around that word, when really all debt is that you have had experiences with that. You've invested with that. You've used that credit to your advantage. You've used it for things that you have enjoyed or things that you've wanted and desired. And so it's really important to give thanks for that and to recognize that you're the one that's created that. And I don't mean you're the one that's created the debt. I mean, you're the one that has created the opportunity to access that cash, that credit. It's come via credit. And you should be really proud of that and really appreciative of that and celebrate the fact that you have manifested it and that it's flowed to you in whatever way money has flowed to you. So basically, I will share with you my experience now. So I owed one of my mentors for the final installment of our program together. And I believed I didn't have access to any more credit, that I wasn't allowed to ask for more credit. I'd maxed out my credit cards, and basically it just wasn't flowing through clients. And it was like I had this real control, like it has to come through a client now, it has to come through a client. And sometimes that can work as long as you're open, and sometimes it can work to manifest it through a certain way, but it's not often that. It depends how you're going about it, and it depends how open you are. And at the time, I was actually closed. I was closed, and I was trying to control how this beautiful money energy was going to flow to me. And so what I started to do was take action towards opening to money by asking, because when you seek, when you ask, you will find, you will be given the answers. An answer is already here if there is already a question. Your desire already exists if you already desire it. So I went on a mission and I started asking people. I started asking by asking to be of service, by posting in groups, by marketing myself. I asked banks, even though I was very doubtful about that situation. And just the act of asking is actually the act of being open. It's the act of openness when you ask, when you are willing to ask, when you're willing to put yourself out there and be open to the money flowing in whatever way, and not be attached to how that money flows, with that understanding that you are creating it no matter how it comes to you. Literally a few days after this, I noticed I had a letter from an old credit card company, and I know for a fact that I cancelled this credit card because I remember celebrating that I'd paid it off. This was a long time ago. And I specifically remember ringing up the card company and cancelling the card and going out and celebrating that I'd cancelled this card. Lo and behold, there was a letter waiting for me. And this letter was like 2 months old. And the letter said, we've noticed that you've not been using your card. Do you want to keep this card? If you don't respond to us by whatever date it was, then we are going to cancel this card. And I was like, oh my gosh, I realized that the date on the letter had just passed, like by 1 day. And I was like, oh my gosh, this has been here this whole time. Like, it was like, it had been there for like 2 years. They never canceled it. And I didn't even realize I had this access to this cash. I was not open to it. I was restricting myself and trying to control how it's going to come. And in doing that, I didn't even notice that I still had this active credit card that I could use. Anyway, it was just so funny because it was like I was a day late ringing them, and I was like, there's no way they're going to activate, they've cancelled the card. I was just like, how funny is that? The universe really does have a sense of humor. And so I rang them, and I had to wait a day for them to let me know whether they can reactivate it. It was a really bizarre situation, actually, because, I mean, it's unheard of, like, that they would even cancel the card, let alone that it would take a day to reactivate it. But that's what happened. And that was all my resistance, because I had all this stuff coming up about how I didn't want to get into more debt again. I just had all this limiting beliefs coming up around debt, and this icky feeling, and just like all this fear, this intense fear about using this card. Like, oh, if I use this card, then I'm getting into more debt, and blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't paying attention, and I wasn't being appreciative, and I wasn't actually acknowledging that I created this whole situation. I freaking cancelled that card. And the fact that this letter just showed up out of the blue, it was like a magical miracle. And there's me not actually seeing that, and not actually honoring that or acknowledging my own power. That's what happened. And so I used the card. Obviously, I used the card, and I got over all that BS around debt. And I have to say, this whole debt thing is such a big thing for everybody because of the programming that we've had around debt being this big burden, this horrible negative thing. It really doesn't have to be. Like, you can get a card as long as you can pay the minimum repayments. That's cool. Don't sweat it. Use the card. It's here for you. If you've manifested that, if you have been so powerful to manifest money, because if money is one of your desires, then it is seeking you. It wants you as much as you want it, and it is trying to find ways. And it's always, for money, it's the path of least resistance. For you, it's a different story. But for money, it's going to try and find ways to come into your life. And if you've got resistance to it, you are going to be blocking that. And it's only you that is creating that. So you need to recognize how powerful you actually are and how amazing you are, because when you see your power, money will flow to you. And one of the other things that that's come up recently is just about the people's perception of what wealth consciousness means. And to me, like, doing something towards wealth consciousness doesn't necessarily just mean a mindset thing. Your body, and this is something that I am going to be going into a lot more soon, your body actually stores your limiting beliefs as well as your brain. Okay, the rest of your body stores this bullshit, this programming, these traumas, these like negative emotions around things. And and the not the problem, but the truth is that your yoni, that sacral chakra, which is your survival chakra, like that area of your body is where your monetary limiting beliefs are stored, as well as in your mind. It's in your body, it's in your vagina. And so one of the ways that I work on wealth consciousness with people is raising sexual consciousness, is healing that sexual energy, those lower chakras, that your yoni, your womb space, and actually bringing like divine bliss and healing into that space. And that is a way of working on your wealth consciousness. And that is a way that you can work on wealth consciousness with your clients. It doesn't have to be all about just the mindset piece. But you know, everything is holistic. You need to have a holistic approach to everything. And you know, you need that faith and trust, but you also need to be taking action. And yeah, this has come up recently a few times, and so I just wanted to share this because it's when I was taking that action towards that thing and focusing on my desires and trusting in the infinite supply and trusting in my power and just taking the necessary inspired actions and sometimes radical actions, because sometimes when the inspiration isn't coming through, it's important just to shift yourself by doing something radical. The universe will always respond. Your higher self will always respond. The thing that you are desiring will always respond to your efforts. And you need to recognize and not hold so much shame and stigma around debt, around credit cards, around loans, around borrowing. There is a difference between being codependent on somebody. When you're codependent on somebody, that is when you are just taking with no intention of giving back, and it just becomes this like vicious circle. No, when you are actively seeking and asking until you receive a yes, that is different to when you are just being codependent with somebody. If you are asking with the intention and the knowing that this money is going to create more money, and this is like a really conscious thing that you are doing to say to the universe, I am open. I am fully open to receiving, no matter what, no matter how that comes to me. I am fully open to receiving. I am prepared to go and ask and seek until I receive a yes. And I know that that yes comes from within me and my willingness, and that comes from source, which is the same, and that comes from my willingness to be open and allowing and receptive. And I'm going to leave it there. I don't know if you can hear, there's some strimmer going on outside, and I feel like that's my cue to end this video. But I just wanted to share this with you because I thought it might help you if you are kind of stuck in a rut and you're, you know, maybe you're late paying a payment to your mentor. Maybe you want to invest, but you're just so closed to all these other ways, and you're trying to force it through coming through a client when there's all these other opportunities available to you that you are missing out on, and you're not allowing the money to flow into you. And money is just love. Money is no different than you. It's no different than source, and it is just the most powerful energy. It's one of the most powerful energies and expressions of source, and it wants you. It wants you just like you want it. It wants you to notice it. It wants you to love it. It wants you to be open to it, and it wants you to allow it in. So go seek it, go ask. Don't be ashamed of that. Don't be afraid of that. It's a beautiful thing. And when a way unfolds, it feels so empowering because you then know you have created that. Just like I knew when I saw that letter, I knew there's a reason I saw that letter that day. Out of all the days that letter had been sat there, I saw it that day, you know, and it you know, out of, there's no such thing as coincidence. There's only synchronicity. And so just trust that when you open, when you're fully open and you're willing and you're active in seeking the thing you desire, your desire is seeking you, and it will come to you if you stay open. All right, I love you lots. I hope you're having an amazing day, and remember to keep it juicy. Bye.